is this fabulous quote by line in Rose Tremaine's Restoration, and she's talking about the protagonist walking out of London up into Lincolnshire, and the line goes, the land as it were, as I came into Lincolnshire, the land as it were became less, and the sky as it were became more. And that's exactly true. Along with my favourite landscape painters or seascape painters, I think what I really am and what I really want to become more is actually not a painter of the land or the sky or the sea, but a painter of the weather. And oh yeah, we've got weather here. I remember hearing a delightful interview with my great hero Frank Auerbach, who said the reason painting is so good is because it's the ultimate game. There are so many infinite variations on the theme. So standing before a landscape or a cityscape or a person or anything in particular that you might want to paint really is the trigger for you to play this fabulous game. Here are the counters in that game. Here's the board that we play on. And here's the opposing player on the other side of the table, which is the subject itself. And now I'm going to play this fabulous game of trying to find an infinite possibility and grasp it. To have a strict plan, to be illustrative and try and illustrate an idea is a mistake. So what I'm doing now and how my day will go is that, like Lowry said, you get your paints out, you get your canvas out and you start and it'll come. And he was right, it does come. The painting actually starts in dreams, hours before the paper is out and the colour's out. So that there's some planning that's gone on in the subconscious, somewhere deep down in that sort of central cortex, that then when the sun rises and the colours are out, then comes out through the hand. I know this about myself now, having reached a fairly grand old age, that the urge to paint and to make pictures, to use colour and line and stuff is incredibly strong in me. What I've got is a compulsion to make pictures. For me it's this. I did quite a number of portraits when I was a police officer, and wow, what a place to be, to come across people who are great sitters. And somebody much brighter than me said that 90% of a good portrait is having a good sitter, and that's exactly right. And so if you've got a really good sitter, you don't have to try too very hard to draw out of them all of the good characterful things that constitute a great portrait. And that's what I had. I was able to come across people who were so full of character that you could barely contain them in the painting. So that was delightful. And so they're quite realistic, larger than life people, sometimes on the margins of society. And this is a bit of a conundrum. As a portrait painter, largely and traditionally, one has done it in order to make money by painting people who are quite often middle-aged, middle-brow, middle-class. That wasn't what I was painting and not what I was interested in. And so it doesn't quite pay. But nevertheless, what you do get by painting people who are on the margins is a much more rough, wild and robust sitter than you might otherwise have found. So the prize at the National Portrait Gallery was really great, and they ended up buying a picture off me, and I had a very good relationship with them for some time. I really liked it. Well, the icon painting, or icon writing as they call it, is something quite different. And for me, it was perhaps a bit like, in that period where I painted, 5 years where I painted nothing but icons and the local church is full of them. I just loved doing them at the time, and I'm so proud of what I did there. But they're for a different purpose and occupy a different psychic space and a different function as a finished piece or a finished work, because you can't actually take ownership of an icon. You're simply, to use another better person than me's phrase, a feather on the breath of God.
We believe that all human beings are icons of God. So when God made humanity, he made them in his own image, and the word icon means image. So in a sense, when we come into church, we see the painted images around us. It is an image looking at an image. We're the image of God, and indeed when I go around sensing the icons, I also sense the people, because they're also icons of God as well.
And the icon won't be looked at by art lovers. The icon will be venerated by worshippers. So they will come to the church and they will see in that 2,000-year period of refinement and getting just to the point where we are with the icons, where they are meant to represent a saint or a scene from the Bible, and it is something that they will then use in their prayer life. So it's a tremendous commitment on your part as an icon writer, and a commitment on their part as a worshipper, to find within that work, within that icon, something prayerful and more profound than you could possibly have done on your own.
Right, this is one of Alan's icons. It's an icon of the Portraiture, which is an icon of Jesus Christ. He has a distinctive style, which you can see in his other icons as well. But I think the most extraordinary thing is this. If I wanted to introduce you to Alan, I'd say, actually, go and look at this face. You can see an awful lot of him within it. It's one of those accidental things that so many iconographers find, that when they are painting the image of God, they, without meaning to, actually portray him with some of their own characteristics there as well. And there's a gentleness there, there's a firmness there, there's an openness there, there's an intelligence there, and so on, that you also see very strongly within Alan. Not quite sure how much he'd like us to say that, but even the shape of the eyes, the mouth, the nose, and so on, you can see his own image coming out of this. This icon, which Alan did, is easily, by a long way, the largest icon in the church here. It is an icon of the Last Supper, where the Lord took bread and wine and made it into his body and blood and shared it with his disciples. This is a moment in time we're shown here. You see quite clearly the way that the apostles all diminish in size the further away they get from Christ. And there's one apostle who appears there twice. The one is Judas. He's leaning across the table, taking bread to dip into the bowl. And then he's also up in the top right-hand corner. There's a door open and you can just see his face. He's going out into darkness. He leaves the table into ever-increasing darkness. Very, very clever. There's a lot of movement all the way around, and in the very center, there's an incredible stillness of Christ, who, unlike anybody else in that icon, looks at you. Because although they are all there, it's you that he's also going to be giving the bread and the wine to. Very cleverly done, very thoughtfully done.
When I was, I remember quite distinctly when I was about maybe 8 or 9, going on a Sunday summer school in our village, and we had to look at some pictures, and they had a mini art competition, and one of the pictures that jumped out at me from the Bible was the frontispiece, which was Velázquez's Crucifixion. And I was just knocked over by this. I hadn't really seen any art or any pictures before that. And even just seeing that lithograph really bowled me over. And so I've got a very soft spot for it, and still do, and we'll look at one now, what I call in inverted commas my Sunday school pictures. These are pictures that just capture the joy of what's going on in the Gospels, and do it in a way that I find fresh and engaging, and somehow has a kind of a magical lightness and a childlike loveliness to them. And that's one of the things I'm trying to chase now. It's probably wrong to like your own pictures very much, but I do like this one very much. I think I caught something of the miracle here. And it's this man who's been very ill, has been on death's doorstep, and Jesus says to the centurion, "Go home and he'll be all right." And there they are in the house. He is all right. He's up out of bed. He's feeling a bit peaky. The centurion's there with that look on his face of utter amazement. They're touching fingers. There's Jesus and some of the apostles out in the background in the garden. They're all happy. The colours are bright and fresh. Everything about it is full of optimism and the joy of the story. Oh, if I could do this every time, I'd be a very happy painter. And here we have the Nativity. And every year I do, I try and do one a day over the Christmas period. I try and do a Nativity picture and or an Advent picture. And here's the Nativity itself in the stable with all the lovely animals, happy, gathered around, looking at what's going on. The little goat and the robin, and there's the angel with the shepherds. And again, something of the kind of lovely freshness and childlike quality that I would really love to move more towards. And it's something of a challenge, actually, having learned high academic skills and been to the Royal Academy of Art and so forth, to unlearn that and return to that delicious childlike state of picture making where there's all the fun and devil-may-care freedom that comes when you look at the pictures of young children. Absolutely uninhibited. I think what I'm trying to do is what the very wonderful artists that are far better than me, like Turner, tried to do. And that is to work with a kind of magic that comes from being in the landscape. And summon up something that you didn't really even know was down there in the bottom of yourself. And when you get that thing and you see it and you recognise it and you're able to show other people, they'll say, oh yeah, okay, I've got some of that in the bottom of me. Chosen to live out here on the Fens in Lincolnshire, which I adore. And by painting it and being truthful to it and loving it and enjoying the process of conjuring it up on paper, I'm making a deep connection to the place, to the weather, to the times, to the land itself.